Tom Hadrava is a proud father of three, devoted husband, and former IT manager who's now all in on his passion for visual storytelling through all angles real estate media. After years in the tech world, Tom made a bold move to move from his home in northern Minnesota to sunny southwest Florida to lead the company's expansion. Working alongside trusted business partners, he's hoping to grow all angles into a premier media brand that's redefining how properties are captured and showcased. Today, we're going to learn how it all began. Welcome to Bridge Out Ahead, the podcast where we dig into what's under construction in life, business, and community. I'm your host, Bridger Hopkins. Today, we've got Tom Hadrava, the founder of originally Tom's Virtual Tours, a business that started with real estate photography and grew from there. We'll hear how he went from working in IT to building a business, behind the lens and the detours along the way, and the bold move that kept everything from shutting down. So whether you're building a brand or thinking about making your next leap, the stretch of the road's got something for you. So let's dig in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for making the trip.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Good driving, got some fishing in already. And now we're doing some work this week. So this is one of the first things I'm doing after camping, after getting some fish.
Back in the real world.
Yeah, back to the real world.
So Tom, I wanted to hear, how did your journey start? How did you get into photography when, you were in IT?
Yeah, it was, I've always been like the family photographer. I was always the one taking pictures of, my wife and kids and family gatherings and that kind of stuff. So I've always had a camera. What really got me into it is when, I don't know if you knew this, but Michael and I, my wife Michael, we own Pup North Pet Lodge in Eveleth. And everything started there because we needed to get a lot of media for, we're business owners and everything. And it's expensive. It's expensive to hire it out. We started looking at companies in Duluth and surrounding areas, and it added up quick. And I was like, being in IT, I can do this. I always say in IT, it's not that IT's crazy complicated. It's that you can figure stuff out pretty quick.
Yeah,
we're professional Googlers in a lot of cases.
Yeah,
and so with Pup North, the big thing that we needed was a way to tour people around our facility, because when people drop their dogs off, it's like dropping off their kids. And so, but when you tour people around there, it gets the dogs loud, they're barking, they're just like kids in a way.
Yeah.
So we need a way to virtually tour our dog facility, and that's kind of where it all started. I got a virtual tour camera and started out with making a virtual tour with my phone, and then it just kind of picked up from there. And I was like, this is really neat. I was looking at real estate media. A guy I actually work with personally with real estate was Greg Hoffman. Been around for a while, and a lot of my family works with him. And I called him up and I said, is this something that would interest you, is doing virtual tours? And because I looked at a lot of real estate stuff around here and it seemed like nobody was really using it at all. And he's like, yeah, that's really neat. Do you do pictures too? I'm like, well, yeah,
I can.
I can. I can. So I looked it up, and I remember I bought a really cheap Canon camera. I mean, it wasn't cheap; it was like $1,000. But in terms of real estate media, it's not very good. And I did pictures, and he was blown away. He loved them. It was a big step up from what he had. And he's like, oh, can you do drone too? And I'm like, wow, I would love to get a drone. That sounds really neat. And then you look into it, and you have to get a certificate, you have to get licensed, you have to have insurance. And so you start going down this rabbit hole of, man, to do it, to be a one-stop shop, it really starts to become quite the endeavor. But 2 months later, I got my drone certificate, was insured, was doing the whole gambit for doing a lot of stuff for Greg and a few other people that started jumping on board, and kind of the rest was history. It just kind of it really snowballed from there. It got really, really busy for me.
So did you start finding right away that you liked photography? Did you find you had an eye for it, or was that kind of a growth area that you had to really exercise?
Yeah, I love it. I wanted to be, when I was younger, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be, I wanted to be that person that did cross hatching or chalk drawings, or then I was trying to think if I could maybe become an architect, because that was something that was really cool. I was good at math, and I thought it'd be really neat to design houses and that kind of stuff. And there wasn't a lot of opportunities around here locally to get into that kind of stuff. And then, I was also kind of a gaming nerd, so then I fell into IT, and IT just so happened to be on the upswing, and IT paid the bills real well. And so in a way, it's like coming back, circle around to this. It's kind of romantic to me in a way, where I get to do all this artsy fartsy type stuff, and I get to meet cool people, see cool houses. I'm a business owner, so I'm working for myself. Which when you have kids, that's the dream, is having your own schedule and being able to work for yourself, and all that blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it all. It's all for your company, which feels way better than working for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you see ways that your IT background really started helping you out in your business?
Yeah, it's definitely a big strength of ours, and I think it's something that we have an advantage over other photographers. A lot of photographers out there are solo shops. It's one person, it's their one job, and they're kind of doing it all, and it works really well for them. But I think the difference for scaling is once you start having a company and a team of people around you, is you got to have those systems and structures in place. So things like a website with really good online booking, having your Google business profile verified, having a good social media following, doing ongoing social media posts. I mean, having good quality checks, good file structures for keeping track of all your company files, a CPA and a good accountant. Like, we have all that stuff in place, and I would attest that to my background in corporate IT. I worked for the county for several years. I worked in lean manufacturing for about 10 years as an IT professional. And then I also worked in nonprofits for about 5 years early on in my IT career. So, we have a very business mindset at all angles, and we're building it that way. It made the website. So I built the website in like a weekend.
Nice. Well, which starting out can be a huge expense for people too.
Absolutely.
If you're just starting your business, some of those simple tools that you're going to use every day in your business, like you said, a drone, a camera, a website, those can individually cost $1,000, $2,000. You can spend as much as you want.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know when I first started Tom's Virtual Tours, and I kept on just upgrading my equipment, getting more equipment, got backup equipment. I don't think I made a dime for about 2 years, because I was kind of doing that as a side hustle alongside my IT career, while also working with my wife at our pet lodge. So we were very much like underwater in terms of our what we could do in a day, And by the end of it all, we had $30,000 in equipment probably, and I still haven't made a dime. It's like, are you really going to keep doing this? It's like,
this is a great hobby, honey.
Yeah, I just got the equipment paid off. I'm telling you, it's going to get real good this next year. Yeah. And then, we'll get there. Then that next year, then.
And this kind of leads into some of my next questions here. When you're building, sometimes that can be really exciting. It's really motivating, but that's sometimes where you can almost get derailed. You can run into some rough patches. Were there ever times where you, or again, being a family business, where you as a couple were wondering, hey, is this the right way to go?
Yeah, it was real difficult. Because, my IT career, I made decent money with all that, but we were in a fortunate place where my wife also had a good job. Our pet lodge, at least at that time, was doing well. Mm-hmm. And, she was transitioning kind of from her full-time job to being CEO at the pet lodge full-time, and seeing if we can make that work. And she was very happy with that, doing what she loved and kind of getting out of that corporate world. And I think she was excited to see that for me.
Yeah.
And she saw how happy I was doing it. But yeah, it wasn't making anything. Like, we were breaking even. The equipment was getting paid off. We were cash flowing everything. But yeah, you certainly get that imposter syndrome where it's like, man, I've been in IT forever. I'm not a photographer. Like, that's not my calling. I didn't go to school for this, but it's so much more than just being a photographer, though. There's a customer service aspect to it. There's, representing the people you work with, almost like you're on the same team. You're almost like a mini marketing agency in some way too,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's even step back a little bit and explain, what do you do? What is when you're starting out Tom's Virtual Tours, and then now All Angles Real Estate Media. What do you guys really do? What's your bread and butter?
Yeah, it's we say real estate media, which really, our day by day most popular package. We have 3 major packages, which I won't go too crazy into that, but it usually consists of photos with a camera, photos with a drone, a virtual tour of some sort, whether it's a Zillow Home 3D, a Matterport. There's a couple other technologies we're looking at too, getting started with, and then a floor plan. And we're really efficient with it. We go in, we get in, get out, usually within an hour or 2 or less, depending on the size of the house. And then really, I think a lot of people might deliver stuff like Dropbox or OneDrive. We deliver everything through a CRM that we use for our system, and it's awesome. I mean, it's a system designed for real estate. You can upgrade to a marketing kit for $25. Our cost is like $15, so it's not like we're making money off it. Mm-hmm. And it gives a realtor everything they could ever need. I mean, as far as social media content, it gives them a custom URL to help promote their listing and try to sell it. It adds a lot of value for, I think, the low cost that it is. Mm-hmm. And we try to include it with almost everything, but there's just some realtors that they just don't want to use it for whatever reason.
Change of practice or something different, something new.
Yeah. But and then the biggest thing is that once we deliver it, that it doesn't stop there. If there's things that need to be adjusted, we need to go with that property and redo something. We work with our realtors really, really close, our customers, to make sure that they have exactly what they need, start to finish. And it's just kind of an ongoing relationship. We keep really good client notes. So when we work with people, we know that, hey, some people love straight on shots. Some people like 45 degrees. Some people want that above the counter shot that we don't really go for. So it's a start to finish thing. It's a relationship that we build over time, and it just gets better the more we work with you.
Yeah, and like you said too, you end up probably spend as much time at a property as almost anybody. So being able to go there and represent yourselves and who you're working for. Yeah,
I mean, and we're not scared. I think, some, at least in Florida, I see this a lot more. I don't know how it is as much around here in Minnesota, but most photographers, they come in, they're going to shoot what's there. We pride ourselves on trying to help move things, trying to make it right, because we understand that sometimes, realtors are walking into the same. They're like, oh, I think this place is a mess. Well, they might think the same thing too. They're like, oh no, this is supposed to be cleaned up for these guys, and so we work together to try to get it as best we can. And worst case, we can always fix things in post and edit stuff out. It's very easy to edit photography. It's not so easy to edit video and virtual tours, but it's amazing what you can do with all the photoshopping and AI and all the tools that are coming out right now. It's pretty crazy how easy it is compared to what it was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So what was your timeline like when you were in Minnesota? How long were you doing your photography, virtual tours, and then before you made your next move?
Yeah, I think, it was about a year and a half, almost 2 years of part-time, like side hustle type stuff. And we just had our third child, our youngest daughter, Nina, which she's 2 now, will be 3 soon. And we were kind of at a weird stopping point where I was working full-time IT in Duluth, went through a transition there where I had to be there 3 days a week, and it was becoming too hard on us as a family because of having to be with the kids, support the pet lodge, while also growing Tom's Virtual Tours. And we saved up money and we decided to make that jump. So I ended up quitting my job in Duluth. So that was about, I guess that had been now a year and a half ago about. But yeah, once we had to make the leap and we had to have enough money saved up, and it was scary. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen, but Tom's Virtual Tours really took off, and it was looking like we were going to finally not quite make what I made in IT, but it was going to be pretty close where it was very doable,
survivable.
Yeah, and then we moved. Then we moved to Florida.
Yeah. So what? When in that, what were your thoughts, or what thoughts were going through your mind? Is like, okay, I'm establishing a business. I have all these relationships, and now we're moving. not like further away, but like we're picking up and relocating.
Yeah, I mean, you could talk to my wife. I was flipping out. I was like, this is terrible. I love Minnesota. I've been in Minnesota my whole life. My whole family's here. I sweat a lot, so I wasn't excited to go to Florida. But it was an opportunity that came up. We got a good price on a house in Florida. There were some things that happened after the fact that made it not so good, but we live across the street from my father-in-law, my wife's dad. And I wasn't excited about, because I felt like we finally were just making it. We're finally getting to
you get that momentum built up.
Yeah, and then just to cut it out, and it's like, okay, and now what? So I was like, either I just chop it all off and just abandon it, which I felt like I was making a real difference for people too. Like a lot of realtors were really coming to rely on me to give them good media and to take a step backwards. Somebody's got to fill that gap once I leave, I felt like. And it was just dumb luck that I was talking to Renee Novak. Renee is my cousin. You know Renee very well because you two work together often. And she's always been a serial entrepreneur her whole life. And so she understands businesses. She's super customer service focused like I am. That's always been a pillar of our success, is just, do right by the customer, make them as happy as possible. The rest will kind of fall into place kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I had another friend of mine. Him and I got our drone certificate about the same time. That's Joe Conaway. And it was just dumb luck that like we met up one day and we were talking about stuff, and I was telling him, I was telling him about moving to Florida, and I was really bummed about leaving all this behind. And I think Renee was the first to kind of say, that's something I think I could do. And I'm like, you could do it. Is that something you're thinking about? And she said, I don't know. And she kind of went back and forth. She wasn't going to do it at first. And then it was kind of, we talked late at night one night, and she said, I want to do this. I'm ready. Let's do it. And then Joe was all on board too. And so I was like, man, can we really make this a multi-state expand? This is crazy. Like
it's we're going to shut it down, or let's start in 3 locations.
Yeah. And that has its own issues in itself, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to grow a business, it's hard enough to grow one business with one person, but to scale it up with 3 different people, 3 different locations, because every business has tons of upfront costs. Yep. So we're basically tripling our upfront costs. We had a little bit of my own taken care of because of Tom's Virtual Tours, but I was finally just getting profitable. Now we got to buy them equipment.
Yep.
We're going to go way in debt, and we're going to hope that the business we started in Iron Range as Tom's Virtual Tours was enough to carry us to get us started in Minneapolis and Florida. Yeah, and it was crazy. It was tough
with a brand new photographer.
Yeah, and Joe was good. Joe always had like a media background. He knows video editing. He knows photography. It's always been his thing, even going through college. Renee, not as much. This was a newer thing for Renee, in which I don't want to talk for her, but she's very, very skilled in terms of just being able to figure stuff out. She's very ambitious, very disciplined, and both of them they were all in on it. Like they were super excited about it. I think they also kind of had it with at least Joe might have had it more with his corporate job. I think he was just like, I'm done with that. I want to do something else that I love doing. Yeah. And if I can make money while doing it, that's even better. So
cool.
Yeah.
So what was the biggest shift once you relocated? Obviously, you had to start fresh, buy new equipment. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. Right,
yeah.
Like going from Minnesota, nice, knowing everybody. You have a network here, so to get them to start booking you for some real estate media and that kind of stuff. Yeah. You have like my last name carried me a little bit around here. People knew of Hadravas and Evlith. I had a lot of family that were helping me get business. I knew enough realtors where once I worked with them, they knew my name, they knew me well, and they would refer us or whatever. But in Florida, I got nothing. I got no family. I got nobody there. So it's scary, going into it. But I actually found that it actually grew faster than it did in Minnesota.
What skills do you think you had developed previously starting out in Minnesota that you were able to just implement right away in Florida? What did you find that was probably the biggest?
Yeah, definitely video. videography for real estate. In Florida, it's a whole other ball game. In Florida, everybody has like these Hollywood type videos, and they're doing them for $450,000 properties. Like, we're not talking $3 million, $4 million property. I mean, they're doing them for like the smallest properties in Florida.
Yep.
You know, a $400,000 property in Florida is like maybe 1,200 square feet. I mean, it's not like it is in Minnesota.
It's a starter home.
Yeah, and people are throwing these videos out there, and they're building this brand, and they expect it. And there's not a lot of people that can do good videography. And we were just starting to touch on it before I left Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And I think Minnesota's a little bit behind on it still. Twin Cities is getting there. Twin Cities is starting to use more videography, which we're in a good place for that. But yeah, definitely videography was a big one. Having our systems in place already. So having like our website with our online ordering system, having, you know, our HD photo hub where we have our marketing kits and we have those processes all built out, all of our products built out. You know, because you come into it like, oh, you're a new person. But yeah, you can tell that you guys got your...
You have something to offer already. It's not, you're not making it up. It's like, hey, we've done this.
Yep, we're not flying off the cuff. We're not just throwing up prices arbitrarily. I think whatever feels good. Like we're very organized on our prices. We know that what our profit margins need to be. Mm-hmm. We know what our prices need to be in order to hire photographers to work for us. That it's fair to them, it's fair to us, and we also are trying to keep our prices low as possible so that way we're not, you know, breaking the bank with some people.
Yep.
Because that's a big difference too. Is Minnesota compared to Florida? Other competition for us in real estate media in Florida, they're probably charging double what we charge. Mm-hmm. You know, so trying to figure that out, navigate that. We have no plans to increase prices anytime soon. People in Florida, you need to increase your prices. Like, well, that's complicated because now you're looking at having different pricing for the same products, and you almost have to build out a different shopping cart. There's all these logistics with it that really complicate things. And I'd rather get more customers than less customers with higher prices, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's referral business. Everything's referral, you know.
And you can keep, sometimes when you have a full pipeline, you can schedule better. You can keep things moving. That can be really helpful.
Absolutely. So
through your move in this new rebuilding time, what did you learn about yourself?
Oh, boy. It was pretty tough moving to Florida. It felt like every stage of my life when we first started in Duluth, going to school there, had an IT job. Then we moved up north, had another kid, got our own business that was being popped north at the time. It's just like every time we reached a new high, it feels like we just got crushed by a new level of life that would just complicated everything and made things busier, more chaotic, and whatever. And Florida was definitely... It was definitely the kick in the teeth that I wasn't ready for, and I think you get amazed at what you can go through. Mm-hmm. You know, as a human just getting through life. You know, it's like you run that half marathon. It's the hardest thing you ever done, and then you run a full marathon. You're like, that's all. I can never do anything harder than. And then you end up having 3 kids, and then you're
like, how did I do this before? I thought it was hard before. With no kids.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, like when you're going through college or high school, you know, and this test is the hardest thing ever. And it's like, man, everything is just, it's so little in the grand schemes of everything, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Florida was tough because we went from having, you know, we had everything to now we got nothing. And living in Florida where we're at, we're a little ways from the beach. And so we're living in a sardine can of a house, you know. So we went from being like a almost 3,000 square foot house to like a 1,200 square foot house, you know, 3 bedrooms. Our kids are all sharing one room to sleep. I mean, it's pretty rough. And then we got all of our dogs and our cats. We got ducks in Florida, and it's just we create some of the chaos for ourselves. But yeah, you know, it's just trying to adapt to a new lifestyle in Florida, which is pretty. It's overtaking us a little bit, but we're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No snow. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
You know, I could spend an hour with you just talking about the differences and the nuances, but Florida has grown on me more than I thought it would. You know, you acclimate to the heat, and to have those 9 months where you're not living in a frozen tundra. Yeah. It's literally shorts, flip-flops, and a shirt every single day. You don't have to winterize. You get a lot of your life back. You don't realize it. but you
where you're
really,
not
really
just
do.
inside where it's dark.
Yeah, so you get a lot more time to work on things like the house and a business and that kind of stuff. So we're slowing down a little bit, which is we need it, you know.
When you're working with the real estate agents, we often see seasonal changes in the real estate market and then some bigger trends. What are you finding in Florida versus Minnesota? How's that different?
Yeah, the probably the best thing for all angles that since we got there is the seasons are completely opposite. So like summer gets busy in Minnesota, summer is actually the dead time in Florida. Like it's really slow for me personally in that area right now.
Get to be too hot and you don't have people coming from other states.
Yeah, exactly. It's snowbirds. Snowbirds aren't visiting. They're not coming down there dreaming about living on the coast or living on the beach or whatever. So that's definitely the biggest contributor for it. The other part of it is that we had 2 hurricanes and 2 tropical storms last year.
Right.
Brought all my good luck with me to Florida. What a time to move. But yeah, those hurricanes, they scare people out of there. And there's something different about them too. I mean, it's so much rain. The wind is crazy. The trees that are falling over, and it's kind of apocalyptic a little bit because people freak out about gas and groceries. So the minute there's a forecast of a hurricane coming, the grocery stores are cleared out. All their canned food, their paper towels, all this stuff's just gone.
Yeah.
And gas stations, just like that, like they're gone. Like there's no gas. So you're at the point now where you're going to a gas station and you're like trying to sweet talk with the person at the counter, like, hey, so when's that next round of gas coming?
Yeah.
And you find out it's coming at 5 p.m. on this Sunday or whatever, and then you get there and it's like there's a big line of people, and it's intense too. People, you think that people just cut in and get gas. There's staff out there with handguns, and they're literally directing people to get gas at the pumps. So everyone's in their line. And if somebody screws around and tries to get in there, they're like,
out.
Hit the road. Yeah, you're not getting gas from us. Go get it somewhere else. So it's intense. So
you've got the online store. You can do all angles, real estate media, and emergency supply kits.
Oh, that might be a new product for us.
Might be too broad.
But yeah, no, it's something else there. So I think those 2 major things made it really slow for this summer. But the advantage of Florida is it's busy 9 months out of the year versus kind of Minnesota. I mean, when does it really start around here? Probably March.
Where we'll see stuff picking up. And
it goes to September?
Yeah, September, and then starts to die down and then probably dead by November for sure.
Yeah, so I saw my biggest pickup. So I was working hard on outreach all summer long. I was going around to different agencies, dropping off booklets, business cards, which I don't even know if that stuff goes that far, to be honest. I think you're better off on a social media presence and reaching out to people that way. But, it's always good to put a face to the name kind of thing. And I must have stopped at probably 40 different agencies, introduced myself, and some went really well, and some were like, who are you?
Yep.
And you're from where? No, you need to, go back. You get a whole variety of responses, and you just get used to it after a while. You're not everyone's going to be super Minnesota nice, especially in Florida. And yes, I handed out flyers. I was talking with Joel and Renee regularly. I'm driving to this place today. We talk about our wins. We're always dialed in. We're talking in the morning, talking late at night, and we always celebrate our wins. But I guess back to those differences that once the later in the year came around, probably around November in Florida, that's when it started picking up for me. Mm-hmm. And in January, it completely flipped. Renee was keeping the lights on for us because of the Iron Range, because we had kind of an established business there. Plus, she's very good at meeting new people and very friendly and outspoken. And she carried us. I mean, she carried us through the whole summer where Joe and I didn't have anything coming in. And then it was like once December hit, it flipped. And like Joe and Renee had nothing coming in. And something happened in Florida, and I just turned on. I was doing 3-4 jobs a day, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't keep up. It was scary. I was like, I don't know what's happening. But it was a good scary. It felt validation finally.
Yeah.
So
and sometimes you don't get that. Well, here's a good question. Are you finding a trend in, because you can go talk to somebody and you can get business right away, or A lot of times I find I'm talking with potential clients, and it might, I talk to them, and it might be 3 months later I follow up with them. 3 months later I follow up with them, and then 2 years later after doing that, I'll all of a sudden, hey, we want to list a house or buy a property. Are you finding a lot of yours is you're having to build these relationships or contact over time, and then finally picks up with the season, or what are you finding is effective for you?
Yeah, you nailed it. Especially in Florida right now, at least on the Iron Range, it wasn't really this the case, because it seems like we're kind of maybe pioneering a little bit on the Iron Range. There wasn't a lot of major media people that were very well established. There's definitely a few out there that are very, very good. But like in Florida, I'm competing with like 100 other companies. I'm right next to Sarasota. I'm like 20 minutes from Sarasota, and I bet there's 50 media companies there that all do what I do. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to stand out from that is really difficult. But yeah, primarily the way we've been growing is a lot of outreach over social media. And you're exactly right. You build that relationship. They always have somebody. Almost like 9 times out of 10, they have a photographer they're using already.
Yep.
And
whether they like them or not. But
the thing is, like, if they do even a remotely okay job,
they know.
To them, the risk of going to a new person they never met, that they've never worked with, that they've never seen in our media, which, we have portfolios and stuff. We're kind of circumventing a lot of those things, a lot of those ifs that they got to deal with. But the risk isn't worth it to them. I mean, they've been working with this person for years. They're not super happy with them, but they're going to keep working with them. And then all of a sudden,
they're a known quantity.
Yeah.
They know what to expect.
Yep, exactly. And so what usually ends up happening is it's one of two things. Either they don't have anybody to use and they're just doing cell phone stuff, and they're like, okay, I suppose I better get on board, and can I be cheap enough and efficient enough to help them jump on board with that? Or something happened with their last photographer, and they're like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. They took a picture of some chair that they didn't like. It's always something silly. But then we go into it and try to be the superhero, and then we hope that we're not the next photographer when the other person comes, a new photographer comes in, that we're that person that they're complaining about. We try to always keep them happy. We try to follow up. But yeah, it's absolutely, building relationships is everything. We find that somebody won't ever book us right when we reach out to them the first time, but usually it's about 6 to 9 months later they start booking us. So, and then once they book us, we have a pretty good track record. People don't leave, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's big, because it's easy to maintain a business relationship. Everybody can get used to it. You know how each other operate, and then you don't have to do that outreach if you can maintain some of those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the referrals is everything for us. Yeah, and and the other thing is that happens a lot too with the way we kind of spin it is that we know that realtors and even businesses. I know Renee was working with a couple of farms, taking pictures of like sunflowers and strawberries and that kind of stuff. Joe's done some volunteer work. I know we worked with the Lake Superior Zoo off and on, did some drone work for them. Had some interesting stories that happened there. Another day, another time. But yeah, we've had a lot of success in commercial and real estate. But we try to stay focused on just real estate, because you really need a purpose. Like what happens in photography and in media is people start to branch out because they're not making enough money in one particular area. So next thing you know, a photographer's willing to do wedding stuff, and then they're doing shows, and they're doing
glamour shots.
And they'll do glamour shots, and it's like they do it all. And it's like, well, that actually comes across as a negative, I think, for in a lot of circumstances. Like as a photographer, if you're looking for real estate media, would you rather work with somebody that kind of just does everything and they're kind of just throwing everything against the wall to see what sticks? Or do you want to work with somebody that this is what they do day in and day out, and that's all they do? Mm-hmm. And the nice thing with real estate too is that it's recurring business. There's always houses selling. There's always houses being bought, and there's always media being churned. And so it doesn't come across as a high value per job, but it's consistent work. Mm-hmm. And that versus like say like a wedding type gig, you might do that. You might do a wedding once every 2 months. And
ideally you're not getting return customers.
Yeah. If everything's going well for them, for sure.
They're not going to be buying a high volume of wedding packages from you, ideally.
Yeah, certainly not. Plus, there's something about weddings that just really stresses me out. Like, you got to get that perfect shot, and if you like miss where like they shove the cake in their face, it's like,
I suppose you can always go back and like, hey, I messed up the picture of the living room. Like I'm gonna go grab one more. Whereas, you missed the first kiss or something.
Oh, it's over. Yeah.
No rolling that back.
There's definitely consequences in real estate too, especially if there's a homeowner or whatever, but it's definitely a lot more relaxed. And, in the best case scenario, we go back on our own dime. We'll do their own traveling time. We'll work around the homeowner and you and just go there and get that one shot in and out real fast. But yeah, missing the first kiss or whatever, that's game over for you.
Yeah.
Your career's done as a wedding photographer. Yeah.
So I've got one more just kind of fun question and then our final question to wrap things up. But what's like the craziest thing that's happened on a shoot? Have you seen anything crazy or?
Yeah, I should probably be careful about this. There's so many. I mean, truly, I could tell you ones where like, a drone caught fire. We had situations where there's like 5 people in a house. Like, oh yeah, don't worry, they'll be fine. It's like they're everywhere. Probably the funnest story for me is it was early on when I was doing Tom's virtual tours. And I apologize if anybody listens to this and they know what I'm talking about. There shouldn't be too many. There should be 2 people that would know about this story, and I don't think that they would ever. I don't know if they would ever catch it. But I went to a house and they said, "Oh yeah, just so you know, beautiful house, beautiful house." I mean, it was going to be like selling for upper 5s, here in northern Minnesota, which is a pretty good price point. And they said that they had a couple cats, and I said, "No problem. We own a pet lodge. I'm used to animals. No big deal. I can work around them. Not, no problem." And so I get into the house and the homeowners leave and they say, yeah, there's just the cats. They said cats, plural, they cannot be left out because there's a couple that are strays. And if they get out, they might not come back. So no problem. So I'm like, okay. So it went from cat to cats to now strays. I'm like, whatever. It's getting kind of weird. So I started going to the house. It's a big house. I think it was like 3,200 square feet. And I'm going room by room, and I'm starting to just notice, like, okay, there's a cat right there. Okay, I'm just going to pick up Kitty, and I'm going to put all the cats into, like, this one room. And so I pick up that one cat.
So you start herding cats.
So I start herding cats, literally, yeah. And and I go from room to room, and it's like, man, before you know, I'm on, like, the 3rd bedroom upstairs. I got, like, 4 cats in that room. It's like, this is getting a little crazy. And they're all friendly and stuff, and none of them were being mean or whatever, and I keep going. By the time I get down to the basement and I start going through, I'm not even joking. 12 cats they had in this house. Trying to take pictures of a house with 12 cats, it easily added an hour and a half. I mean, it was vacant and everything like that. But then, it's all the little things too that go along with, as a realtor that, you really don't want to have pet stuff in your house when you're trying to show your house and list and whatever. And so, little things like cat toys and stuff like that. And that was the crazy thing is that there wasn't a lot of that in there. But once you got down to the basement, one of their key areas was this really beautiful, like open business area or basement area with a workout area and storage. It was really cleverly done. There was like 8 litter boxes all lined up. It was like something I've never seen before. And obviously these folks, I'm picking on this one, but these folks had a sweet place in their heart for the cats. And they took in a lot of strays and probably tried to get them homes or whatever, but 12 cats in one house, that was a doozy for me. I still tell that story to a lot of people. They're like, what?
So you can also herd cats.
Yeah, I can herd cats. Yeah, I'll add that one to my resume.
Yeah. Well, we're to the toolbox takeaway section. So just looking for some advice that you might have for somebody who's starting something on the side, looking to maybe make that pivot out of their day job. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. One thing that I always take with me everywhere I go. I went through a course in one of my first jobs called Dale Carnegie. I don't know if you ever heard of Dale Carnegie.
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, seriously, it's probably, I don't read enough. I really don't, but I read that whole book through and through multiple times. Don't treat people the way that you want to be treated, the golden rule. And then the 3 C's of don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Those 2 things can take you a long ways. And it sounds easy, but nobody does them. Like, including myself, I catch myself all the time. But those mindsets and those beliefs are something that can carry you really far away. Forget all like the tools and that kind of stuff. But as far as a tool itself, I think Facebook and Instagram is heavily underrated. I've seen people grow businesses without a website. All they have is Instagram and Facebook, and they can build an entire business just off of that alone. So really getting that dialed in, set up right, have the right information on your Facebook, have the right information on your Instagram. Thinking about the pictures that you post, making sure they're representative of you and your business and your values. Don't post those party pictures that you're doing when you're fishing, camping out on a lake or whatever. That kind of stuff goes a long ways because I know it's all personal social media stuff, but people look at it. Like the first thing people do when I reach out to them on Instagram, they're looking me up on Facebook, Instagram, my website, my online presence, if I had Google reviews. And if any of those things fall short, they're like, forget it.
Bye.
Yeah. So, I think having those things, and anybody can get into it, you can find videos on how to dial it in really, really well. It's not hard. It's not complicated. You can have it all up in a weekend, and that will get you more presence than like what a website would, or going around meeting people at agencies or whatever. Getting that stuff set up first is probably the biggest thing.
Yes, not neglecting those little things.
Yeah.
The little things that, we might think is, minor, but it's making sure you have all of those little things dialed in. Then you can showcase the big things.
For sure. And, I think just getting started too. That's a big thing too, right? Like, just starting a business is so scary and daunting.
How many people have we talked to? Like, I was thinking about starting this business.
Yeah, right?
Lots of people you meet will say, I was thinking about starting this business. And then they never do.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we look back at the very first jobs that we did as Tom's Virtual Tours and even all angles. Yeah, I guarantee you could pull up the first jobs that Renee and Joe did, and they'd just be like, oh, boy.
Can't believe.
What were we doing? Like, we really hosed that person. But, they didn't notice it at the time. But, just getting out there doing it, you underestimate how quickly you evolve and you get better at it and you get more comfortable with it. Just start.
You kind of hate to use the term fake it till you make it, but that's something that I'm already seeing as a theme when, talking with people is embodying what you want to see happen, acting that way. Absolutely. And you don't want to be phony, but kind of give yourself a standard to live up to and work towards that. And as you said, starting.
Yep. Being authentic and being real and just starting. I think people appreciate that more. Just being real and being authentic and just, hey, I'm just a guy just trying to do a business that I love doing and I just want to do a good job. And I think people appreciate that sincerity. I think that gets into it. So,
well, Tom, appreciate you coming by today. And we're going to have you back with the whole crew eventually here.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
And we can talk about how it is really working across three locations, different states, and what that really looks like.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Again, I really appreciate you stopping by. And, everyone, I just want to say that Tom's story is a good reminder that sometimes the unexpected turn can really lead you to your next, trajectory, your next location. So you went from IT to a multi-state real estate media company. And you probably didn't see that in your cards.
No, not at all. So appreciate being here.
Well, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. This episode of Bridge Out Ahead is brought to you by Legacy Bridge Real Estate, brokered by Grand Properties. At Legacy Bridge, we believe that real estate is one of the most powerful ways to build wealth, and more importantly, to build your legacy. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or looking to invest, our trusted team is here to walk with you every step of the way. Legacy Bridge Real Estate, where legacies begin. Today's theme music is We're Making Good Time by Jed LaPlante. Thank you for joining us today. No matter the detours you encounter, the road ahead is still yours to build. I'm Bridger Hopkins, and this is Bridge Out Ahead.